Okay, in this movie, we're going to continue our examination of the structural elements. So taking a look at this game, we see that it says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F will be divided into two teams, 3 people per team. So the two teams, 3 people per team, are our structural elements, and they're grouping games. They're what we call grouping games. In this section, we're going to concentrate on those particular types of structural elements, the grouping elements. And grouping elements are where the movable elements are grouped together. So the structure is that you're going to have to put the movable elements into groups. And you're going to need to pay attention to which elements can go with which, not which ones are next to which. Position and location aren't that important. What's important is who can go with whom. And in this case, we would diagram it, for example, with 2 columns, 1 and 2 with BDE in the first column, ACF in the second column. So here the structural elements are 2 groups, 1 and 2, with 3 spaces, and you're told exactly how many groups and how many spaces per group. 2 groups, 3 spaces per group. Now let's take a look at this game. It says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F will be divided into several groups. So several groups are a structural element, and what it tells us is that we won't always be told that you'll have the same number of people in a specific number of groups. The number of groups and or the number of people might be unspecified. So the exact diagram will depend on information in the rules and in the questions. And for example, a potential diagram could have B, D, and E in the first group, A in the second, C and F in the third. So the structural elements here are 3 groups with an unequal amount of spaces. You're not told exactly how many groups or how many spaces per group. So let's take a look at this game. It says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F will be divided into 2 teams of 3, and each team will have to choose 1 captain. So where it says that each team will have to choose 1 captain, that lets us know that there could be groups within groups. And in this case, we would have this diagram, for example, where the first group is B, D, and E, with B being the captain, and the second group is A, C, and F, where C is the captain. And here you can think of each team as being made up of 2 groups. One group is the captain, and the other group is the other 2 runners. So, for example, in this arrangement, Team 1 has 2 groups, B for the captain, and D and E for the people who aren't the captain. And as before, all these types can go together in different combinations. As well, the number of movable and structural elements may not match. Same as with the sequential structural elements, that you may have more movable than structural elements, or less. And any combination of movable elements and structural elements can be found together. So for example, the movable elements can be found in groups with characteristics, etc. And the structural elements can be any variation that we've went over. So to recap, the grouping type games are characterized by grouping together of the movable elements, and they come in several different variations. You need to pay attention to the relationship between the movable and structural elements, and keep in mind that these variations can be found with any movable element type.